All righty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a lovely day. And with that being said, let's dive in to the TA. All right, guys, so we got a whole lot of nothing today. The market absolutely just traded back and forth. We are getting ready for PPI tomorrow, and I am just going to tell you my bias into the event tomorrow. So that's going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow at about an hour, well, not about an hour, just exactly an hour before open, we are probably going to be getting a gap up or gap down. And I am just going to say, all right, we had CPI coming as a beat. I'm guessing we're going to have a positive PPI reaction. And regardless of what actually does happen here, I'm going to say, going into the event, we have a bullish look here on the indices. We talked about in yesterday's video that if you are shorting, I personally think you're at least going to be a day early. You're going to get some sort of consolidation after getting this really crazy bullish move up. You're not just going to fall off a cliff. It's just not typically what we see. You're going to put in this one-day consolidation, and then from there, you either continue chugging along or you start actually breaking down. We don't know what's going to happen until it actually happens, but I'll tell you right now, it's probably not going to be breaking down until we at least get that day of consolidation. Today, you closed out near the highs. Okay, you had this push into end of the day. You did have a 0.6% range today. Okay, so it was very small. Same thing over there on SPY. Very small range today. But does this look like something that is going to be breaking down to you? It looks like something that's about to break up. Now, on top of that, let's just take it over here to the king NVIDIA, all right? So wherever NVIDIA goes, the market likes to follow. As the video looks like it wants to continue pushing. Again, closed out at the highs. Even if you're going to pull back over here, we're probably not going to hit it with just a massive gap down overnight. It's probably going to happen intraday, and you're probably going to have a chance to take advantage of it, okay? I don't think we're going to get something like that, considering what we just talked about in the indices. I think we are likely to, across the board, get this consolidation day before really pulling back. But, you know, I'm just going to say NVIDIA looks like it continue. All right. Microsoft looks like it can continue. Amazon doesn't necessarily look all that bad. You know, we're going to be expecting buyers on this pullback over here. Doesn't look all that bad. Tesla definitely looks like it can continue over here. All right. And on top of that, you know, you got Meta over here. Does that look crazy bearish to you? It could be a hangman candlestick, but, you know, it's not something that just screams, you know, run to me. All right. And on top of that, QQQ specifically, guys, you just closed up at the high, all right? So I'm just going to tell you, watch today's highs and lows tomorrow. That's going to be our key. We could honestly just consolidate inside this range tomorrow. Could print that doji candlestick. If we get a, you know, if we get a beat over there on PPI, which should be bullish news, if the market is no longer moving up off bullish news, that is a sign that buyers are just exhausting. They're getting exhausted, which means the market is just, you know, it's a constant auction. It's going to pull back to then find new buyers. And, you know, let's say it pulls back here and there's still no new buyers. There's no new buy orders stepping in. Then it pulls back to the next area, okay? And there's no new buy orders stepping in. So then pulls back to the next area, okay? And that's what the market does constantly, up and down, buy and sell orders. It's continuously, it's a battle. It's an auction, okay? So if we do get a, you know, what should be a positive reaction here on the chart, which should, you know, lead to that bullish news tomorrow morning. If we don't get that, that's just a sign of that, you know, exhaustion there. I don't think it's a good idea to be chasing this. I'm going to point out some setups here that, you know, as long as the market doesn't fall off a cliff over the next 1 to 2 trading sessions, these could continue taking flight. So I'm going to point those out. But I personally wouldn't be chasing here. It's definitely a time to be, you know, taking risks. Don't be putting on, you know, an insane amount of risk. We absolutely nailed the rally, guys. There's no reason really to push things. Just sit on your hands. We get a fresh, you know, set of setups every 1 to 2 weeks. Okay. Just be patient. We still have this massive weekly gap sitting over, you know, right over here on every single chart. And we could very well fill that either this week or next week. So stay patient. All right. Stay patient. On the upside, you're watching 519.23, 521.95, 527.92, and 532.10. On the downside, we have 515.75. Underneath there, we're watching the 507.89 gap. Under there, 501.48. I don't think we're getting under there. There'll be a 20-point drop tomorrow. I don't think that's going to happen. All right, coming over here to SPY, similar scenario. Okay, we're watching today's high, about 588.98. We're talking 590.49, 591.86, 594.64, and 597.34. If you don't know how to put on your own levels, okay, if your levels aren't giving your reactions you would like, okay, you can steal mine. They're free for YouTube every single day. You just have to come here and just, I put out a video sometimes at different times throughout the day. Well, it's always going to be after 4 o'clock, but sometimes, it's at night. For that reason, put on the post notifications, hit the bell icon, and then you will be notified when we get them. And then you can always steal my fresh levels going into the next trading session, okay? You just got to give me some time every day, and I will give you what you need so you can make money in these markets for absolutely no cost to you, okay? Nobody else does it like us on YouTube. All right. But on the upside, you're going to be watching these two levels right over here. If it's gonna, just kind of fizzle out, if we're going to see exhaustion, we're going to see a doji candle print. All right. We're going to stay somewhere in this range. If we gap up massively off PPI here, all right, we're probably going to make our way back up here to around 595. Okay. On the downside though, which again, I don't think we're going to start falling just yet, but if we do, all right, underneath 585.54, we're watching 582.84. And then we have 577.04 and then 570.31. That gap is still open down here. It's actually, this is the gap left open, 567.50. We're just still going to keep on that level on our chart though, okay? Now I am going to point out VIX is starting to bounce back over here. So we're pointing out the 4-hour RSI. I pointed out over here, I know we didn't get into bounce immediately, but the 4-hour RSI, it is in oversold territory. It's starting to curl back up. I have my alert for 2044. If we get above 2044, that's when bad things over here can happen for the market. We could get a larger pullback happening. And I assume we probably wouldn't break above over here. So we'd probably get this little pullback that would take a few days. And then we'd reject somewhere over there and come back down. I'm not entirely sure, but we are right around the 200 daily moving average. And as we could see, if you don't immediately bounce off it, you typically spend a few days under it and dance around it. So that is what I pointed out the other day. It was on this day right here. So that is still something we're watching, but it's not really part of my thesis right now on why I don't think the market's going to be selling. Because I think VIX is going to stay tame. I think it's going to stay tame for the time being. All right, so we went over SPY QQ VIX. Let's talk about the Mag 7 stocks, guys. I gave a little brief, look at these earlier on in the video. The video did close at the highs, okay? So above here, we're going to have, this is for the whole entire move down from all-time high all the way down to 86.62. This is your 0.786 Fibonacci retracement level. It's up at 138.80. All right, if you start getting above there tomorrow, this thing honestly can push up to 143.44, and from that point, I'm not saying it goes straight up there, but I think it would be targeting 153.13. So if it does something like that, okay, it's big pullback here to the 200-day. We are going to be buyers. This is a massive inverse head and shoulders pattern just waiting to happen right over here. Okay, so like this is the next big trade here. This is what you're waiting on. That's why I say every 1 to 2 weeks, we typically get big setups like loading. You just got to be patient on them. Okay, and I'll point them out as they come. I don't think we really got much to look at right now. Okay, I'll point out some trade ideas at the end of today's video, but other than that, nah, I mean, I want to wait for these big opportunities to load, and they're just not here right now. You have the daily RSI overbought. That's that. All right, you look at Tesla. It also closed out at the high. Don't mind all of my lines. But yeah, it did close out near the high today. We are just at 350. The high of day is 350. That's the next, target above 325. Well, it's 326.59. Above there, we were going to be targeting 350, and above there, 373. I'm just going to say, I think we're having one of these moments here. We still have not, if it's going to be something like this, like that was $120. We have only moved $70. It's now $80. Over here from where you really took off from, you moved $150. From over here, from where you took off from right over here, it moved $89. So I still think we have some upside no matter what left in this. I think we should be expecting 360 to 380. But I wouldn't be chasing it into there. That is where we're going to be taking off all profits. And if it goes off without us through this area, just flies and heads up to highs, I'll be really pissed. But I will also know we did our best to take as much money as possible out of this thing during the rip. And ideally, we're going to get up here. And then we hit it with something like this. And that's going to be what we have right over here before that next leg up. That's the ideal scenario for your boy and for us. All right, but we went over NVDA, we went over Tesla. We'll bring over to Apple. All right, Apple over here doesn't necessarily look all that bad to me. It still would look pretty odd if it didn't take out 214.56. And again, this is something that suggests I don't think we're going to be pulling back just yet. All right, you got Microsoft. It doesn't really look all that bad. You're kind of just grinding higher. Does this weekly chart look like something you want to be getting short on? It can really change into the end of the week, but I don't see a reason to. You do have this declining volume the previous, this week and last week. But again, it's only Wednesday. That can change by the end of the week. All right, coming over here to Amazon. This is one that I would say just, expect buyers on this pullback. If we get the larger pullback before any further upside, we're looking to buy that 200-day, okay? But if you don't get it, you don't get it. This thing, the next stop is going to be 216.20. We still haven't hit it. So if we do find buyers tomorrow, that is where we're going to be targeting 216.20, okay? Aside from that, guys, GOOG did end up making a comeback today. Another chart that suggests to me it's probably not going to be, falling from here. We're probably about to break out here, okay? GOOG is not like the others. GOOG has not moved at all. Apple and Google have not broken out from these bases, and they look like they want to do it, all right? Like I just showed you guys Apple. Well, look at, this is your base. You have an equivalent high. Like, this is NVIDIA, all right? This is literally this same setup. I'm just in shock right now. They're just here, and the market is where it is right now, and this is just fuel for the NASDAQ to go higher, okay? I told you guys in, I think it was yesterday's video, how all these things set up continuously, all right? You don't need to overstay your welcome on any which one because they all set up continuously, just one by one or two by two. Like, we will have different ones to focus on. Google and Apple have not gone yet, all right? So the others have. Come over here to Meta. And by the way, GOOG, before we move on, 200-day, that's your target right there, 172.60. That's where this thing is heading next. Horizontal resistance it aligns with is 172.91. All right, come over here to Meta, the final Mag 7 stock. Does this look all that bad? Not to me. All right, I know it's a hangman candlestick. I know it's just kind of hanging out in the air there. But I think GOOG is probably just doing this thing where it's grinding higher. Just look at the weekly chart. Looking pretty crazy. All right. Now, I'm going to show you guys the trade ideas that I got for you into the end of the week and into next week. All right. So first things first, coin, guys. I think this news is probably something that's going to bring us a week like this where we almost got a $100 move. We only got almost a $60 move at this point. We just closed out at the highs. I think this is about to do this over the next few days here. All right. And then if it pulls back, we're going to be looking to buy that, okay? But, the target over here that I'm thinking in the short term is going to be 280 to 300. I don't know exactly where it's going to, stall out at, but from how it's looking to me, this thing's probably going to head up for another leg up tomorrow. All right, so that is something we're paying attention to. Aside from that, we have Walmart. Walmart has earnings tomorrow, guys. We talked about this the other day. If it does get the gap up off of earnings, we're going to look for a pullback or just look to play that up to 105.30. It probably isn't going to get the largest gap up, even if it does. Probably only is going to go here, but I think it's going to take out this high and it's just going to start grinding higher. So that's the next, clean play we see as long as we get the earnings gap up tomorrow. Okay, so that's something we're watching over there. Aside from that, RDDT, Reddit, did start popping off today. You got this inverse head and shoulders pattern. You push right up here, the neckline up at 127.27. You close underneath it. I want to see you get above it tomorrow, pull back to it, retest it intraday, find buyers off of it. This is going to be a really clean look over here on RDTT. And from there, I think we can head up to 142 and above there, 158.49. But this was something that once it took off over here, it really started skyrocketing, okay? And it kept going. This was an IPO that it kept going once it really broke out from this big old base. Well, guess what? This is it's not as big of a base, but it's a little base going on here. And this looks like it can start getting pretty fun over here, okay? Aside from that, we have Rocket Lab. You just got your breakout today off of heavy volume. You closed out near the high today. I think this is probably head up to 26.45 from here. And as we can see on the weekly chart, this is all of your base. You broke and retested off of it, and now you're pushing off of it. right above, you know, your weekly 21. This is looking amazing. This is looking like it easily could test 26.45. If not, it's going higher. All right. What's another one? All right. HIMS is pulling back right now. I'm personally going to be watching HIMS. I don't know if we're going to be closing out with, you know, a massive upper wick or anything like that. I don't think we are. All right. So I'm looking for that dip to be bought up. I'm not going to say I'm personally playing this one. I am going to just, you know, watch this one. If I get a deeper dip to over here, I will probably play it. Other than that, you know, I see no reason to. We have other setups to focus on. And then on top of that, we are watching OCLO. OCLO over here, guys, dips are buying opportunities. I think this is, you know, setting up to, you know, over here. If we see a big dip over here, we are going to expect over the next 1 to 2 weeks, we are going to expect it to be bought up. We're going to base our trade off of that. But yeah, I think this thing has just started to move up there. And if you do get one of these big moves down, we're going to look for it to get bought up. Okay. So that is what I have for you today. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. I am watching CRWV, Core Weave. This is a recent IPO over here. And this is one that just broke above its current all-time high today, hit it with the break and retest. It's got earnings right now. This is one I'm keeping on my radar over the coming trading sessions. And aside from that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please remember to leave a like. If you want to come trade with me, the link will be down below. I'll be live trading every day. And if you are going to join tonight, just set your expectations for tomorrow, guys. I don't think we're going to get a whole lot of anything tomorrow. I think even if we are going to sell, I think we're probably going to hit it with another consolidation day where we can see something very similar to this. If we do get what I think is more probable, a little gap up, if it becomes a big gap up, then it sets the stage for another just small consolidation day up here. So just, you know, just realize tomorrow we are probably not going to, you know, get too much going intraday here because of these scenarios. Even if we're going to sell, it's probably just going to create an inside kind of day, a consolidation, a doji candlestick. We'll see if we could pull something out of it, but we are going to have to see. And then if we do get the bullish scenario where we just gap up, all right, from that point, we are just going to be looking for it to, again, have that, you know, smaller consolidation style day, maybe print a spinning top candlestick, something like that. And aside from that, if you do end up having a beat, we're going to look, and you don't gap up, we're going to look for price to open up around here. And then we're going to base our trade off of the current, you know, the current day's high. All right. So it would be previous day's high of day. If we get something going like this, all right, we can look for that continuation style move up to 590.49, 591.86 and see if we really get something going. But we'll see what we get. It's going to be, you know, it's kind of in the air for tomorrow, but I don't think we are going to be just selling with how we close the day over here on QQQ. I know SPY doesn't look too good, but you can see over here, QQ will just take off all the lines there. You close that near the highs. It's probably not going to be selling right away. If it does, like this is what I'm saying, this small indecision style day here, we're going to get some wicks to play with tomorrow. That's what I'm really expecting. All right. That being said, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Everybody have a lovely rest of the day and peace.